A lot of people still wondering what is going on with Aaliyah Boston and that injury. What's going on with Lexi Hull? Why are we dealing with injuries like this? What happened in Unrivaled? What is this lower leg issue? What is it? Are we doing the Caitlin Clark day-to-day ankle thing all over again with the Fever and their PR department? Is that what's happening?
The Indiana Fever's first preseason viewership numbers are being celebrated in some quarters, but a closer look at the context raises legitimate questions about what the figure actually represents. The Fever and New York Liberty matchup on ION on April 25th drew 743,000 average viewers, announced as a 76% increase over ION's first preseason game the prior season. The comparison, however, is where things get complicated.
Is that what's happening? So let's get to something that's being celebrated, and I'm rather confused by it. All right, the WNBA on ION's telecast of the first preseason game of the year with the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. Let's keep it real, the two biggest teams in the league. The Indiana Fever and New York Liberty on Saturday, April 25th, delivered an average audience of 743,000.
That baseline figure was not drawn from another Indiana Fever preseason game. It was pulled from a Dallas Wings vs. Aces contest that averaged 406,000 viewers and a Chicago Sky vs. Brazil exhibition that drew 305,000.
Delivered an average audience of 743,000. That is an increase of 76% over ION's first preseason game last season. And I was like, well, am I going nuts, or does 743,000 feel a little light? That feels light to me. So I got to doing a little digging. Well, they're celebrating with higher ratings based on a Dallas
measuring a Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu matchup against those two games and calling the jump a meaningful benchmark is a framing choice that deserves scrutiny. The more instructive comparison is the Fever vs. Brazil preseason game from last year, which aired on ESPN and averaged 1.3 million viewers with a peak of 1.6 million.
Wings Aces game from last year, they got 406,000 viewers, and a Chicago Sky Brazil game averaging 305,000 viewers. They were not comparing this 76% increase to another Indiana Fever preseason game. So I got to look and was like, well, that's a little suspicious. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
That puts this year's ION figure roughly 600,000 viewers lower. The network argument only goes so far in explaining that gap.
That's a little suspicious. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I went to look. The Indiana Fever against Brazil on ESPN averaged 1.3 million viewers, peaking at 1.6. I don't know about you guys, just quick math. That's basically a 600,000 less viewership. And you may be like, well, Rhodes, it's ION versus ESPN.
ESPN reaches approximately 70 million pay television households. ION, by contrast, is available in over 100 million homes through a combination of cable, satellite, over-the-air antenna broadcasts, and free streaming on platforms like Roku.
Rhodes, it's ION versus ESPN Network. Yeah, I got you covered, folks. ESPN's available in 70 million homes. Pay television households. The ION network is available in over 100 million homes. And it's available in a combination of over-the-air broadcasting, which is your antenna. If you got a plain old antenna, you can watch ION. Cable and satellite. It's on Dish Network. It's on DirecTV. It's on YouTube TV. It's on...
ION covers all top 20 U.S. markets and is broadly accessible at no cost, giving it a wider theoretical reach than ESPN. The fact that a game featuring the two most watched teams in the league on a more widely available network drew significantly fewer viewers than last year's preseason equivalent is worth noting.
Network, it's on DirecTV, it's on YouTube TV, it's on It's free on Roku. It's a streaming channel that's free on Roku. Like if you got a Roku TV and you go to the Roku app, that's one of the installable channels on there, it's free. Ion's one of their live streaming channels. These games are available for free on Ion. The network maintains a strong presence by covering all top 20.
The argument being made by some observers is that a portion of the Fever fanbase has quietly disengaged, and the ratings may be reflecting that. Several overlapping grievances have been building.
Covering all top 20 U.S. markets. So you're talking about it's available in 30 million more households than ESPN. And the number was 600,000 for the two best teams in the league, at least the two most popular teams in the league. You had Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart and Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham.
The handling of Clark's injury situation last season left many fans feeling strung along, with day-to-day status updates cycling through weeks and months before the season ended without her returning. The perception that fans were managed rather than informed has not faded.
If they break up, then you've got a fractured locker room. You got a locker room that just got burnt down if they broke up, right? Even worse, you got players on opposing teams. We talked about this with Nalissa Smith and Dejanay Carrington playing against each other in the playoffs and then hanging out together. And it's like, wow, yeah, you're not talking game plan strategy or none of that. Sure.
On top of that, concerns about the coaching philosophy, specifically whether the offense is structured in a way that keeps Clark at the center of the action or asks her to operate off the ball in a reduced capacity, have been a recurring source of frustration. Fans who want to watch Clark drive the tempo of a game are not interested in a system where that is not consistently happening.
You are. You're giving up the house. You are. And now we got Paige Beckers coming out saying, our relationship is nobody's business. Wrong answer. Sorry, not sorry, don't know what to tell you. Because your relationship has oozed over into your profession. All right, that's whether you like it or not, you're on the same team, so...
On the injury front, Stephanie White confirmed that Aaliyah Boston, Ty Harris, and Lexi Hull would not play in the preseason game against the Dallas Wings, with the goal of getting some of them minutes in the third preseason game if conditions allow. The nature of Boston's lower leg issue has not been specified in detail, which has drawn its own criticism given how last season's communication around Clark's injury played out.
We're on the same team, so now, look, it's part of you, it's part of that team. You've got gambling involved. People wagering on games have to worry about whether or not you two had a spat. Yeah, that's a thing. Are you okay before you get ready to take the court? Oh, no, I'm fine. Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, one of the two's got to carry that the whole game. And yeah, that's the dynamic.
The opacity around what exactly is keeping Boston sidelined and for how long is landing poorly with a fan base that has already been through a prolonged and frustrating injury management experience with the franchise. The roster construction has also come up as a concern, with the team carrying a heavy concentration of guards and limited size up front, a balance that could create matchup problems when the regular season begins.
That's real life. I mean, again, can you imagine an NFL player or an NBA player, two teammates, Cooper Flagg and some teammate are mugging down together every night? I mean, and you think that wouldn't be a story? It's delusion. We will look at some reaction to this because Paige Beckers is getting absolutely destroyed right now.
Genuinely.
Paige Beckers addressed questions about her relationship with Azia Fudd at a recent media availability, stating that their personal life is their own business and that she only planned to address the topic once. She indicated that any future questions on the subject would be redirected toward basketball and made clear that she and Fudd have maintained professionalism throughout, pointing to a long history of managing the situation, going back to their time together at UConn.
This because Paige Beckers is getting absolutely destroyed right now.
Genuinely hope everyone had a great offseason. There is something that I wanted to address, and I only plan on addressing it once. So if we continue to get asked about it, we will refer to this moment in time, or we will use this time to deflect and talk about our teammates. Quite frankly, I believe me and AZ's personal relationship is nobody's business but our own. And what we choose to share is completely up to us. But as media members, I understand.
Buchers also pushed back on any suggestion that the relationship influenced Fudd's draft position, stating that Fudd was selected number 1 overall based entirely on her own merit, her resilience, her development, and a career-best season at UConn that earned her that selection independently. The press conference drew attention partly because a Dallas Wings PR representative stepped in to cut off a line of questioning, which generated broad discussion about where the line sits between legitimate professional inquiry and personal privacy.
You guys have a job to do, and you guys have to ask questions about the basketball aspect of it, so that's what I will be addressing today. Me and AZ have always been the most professional. We've always conducted ourselves as such, and we've never let anything that happens off the court carry onto the court, and that's what we continue to do. And I'm not entirely sure if this is new to media members, to social media, to new people who are watching the WNBA or women's basketball in general, but
the conflict of interest argument that journalists and commentators have raised is straightforward. Two teammates in a relationship introduces variables that don't exist in a standard professional environment. Disagreements off the court, emotional dynamics between games, and the potential for a future breakup all carry possible implications for team chemistry and locker room stability.
Who are watching the WNBA or women's basketball in general, but me and AZ are not new to this. We've been doing this for a long time. We have countless reps at it. We have a lot of experience with it, so we will continue to use that experience to show up and be professionals, great teammates, great leaders, the hardest workers, and continue to show up and do our job and help the Dallas Wings win basketball games. To add on to that, AZ Fudd was the number 1 draft pick because she earned it, and it had nothing to do with me and everything to do with who she is as a human being, who she is as a basketball player.
Those are not unreasonable things to flag in a professional sports context. Whether that rises to the level of sustained media inquiry is the part people disagree on.
As a human being, who she is as a basketball player, her resilience, her strength, and her career best year at UConn. So AZ is her great individual person, her own great individual person, and she should be celebrated as such. And now that we got that out of the way, I would love to talk basketball.
I guarantee you there was not a single member of the WNBA media that's got enough cojones, or any cojones, to actually ask a follow-up question.